with your host,
Wendy Stuart.
and Tym Moss.
Yay! How are you doing? It's like a bad hair day in New York.
It
Tim,
is.
look at us.
It's drizzly. It's frizzy hair day, definitely.
It was, you know what? It would have been a good hairpiece or wig day. Why didn't I
Bingo.
think there's something to be said? My drag queen friends have taught me well, and I should have listened today.
Yes. So, how was your week?
Oh my gosh. Parties,
Same here.
holiday, so many holiday parties, and so many outfit changes.
Yeah.
Oh, the life of a New York girl. But I'm really looking forward to actually this Saturday night is one of my favorite shows at Pieces Bar. I'm in a show with the Imperial Court of New York, and it's called The 12 Drags of Christmas at Pieces, and it will be Saturday night at 7 o'clock, and donations gracefully accepted will go to the Coco Lachine Scholarship Fund. I can guarantee you all an amazing night there. Pieces actually has their holiday party at the same time. So it will be holiday mayhem. That's the way we like it.
Well, last Saturday, I did a special surprise appearance in Icavelli's Mary, whose child is this? It was a hysterical night. It was so much fun. All the usual suspects were there, and it was absolutely a ball. And I've been in rehearsals, so because I have to jet after this to get to a tech rehearsal. So anybody in New York tonight at 9 o'clock over at Urban Stages, I'm resurrecting my cabaret show, my critically acclaimed cabaret show. So come on out. And for everybody in Florida, in the Fort Lauderdale or in South Florida, this weekend, Ike and I will be bringing 50 Shades of Gay holiday extravaganza to the pub in Wilton Manors in Fort Lauderdale. So be sure, if you catch me here in New York tonight, or catch me in Florida over the weekend.
Tym Moss is state to state. And I just have to tell you one thing. Ike and Tim, of course, are amazing together. But Ike has got incredible costuming.
Oh my God!
By
right?
Suze.
Suze, she's watching.
Okay, great. Hi, Suze. Suze GX, and I know there's something else in there, but anyway, you can look her up. The costuming is above and beyond this time.
Absolutely.
It's really great.
Well, firstly, I would just like to say thank you, everyone, for tuning into If These Walls Could Talk with your hosts, Wendy Stuart and Tym Moss. And we will be right back because I would like to I don't want to waste any time.
Don't tell them who it is. Don't tell them I want it to be a surprise.
Okay. But thank you very much for tuning in to If These Walls Could Talk. Okay.
Take it away. So he's all the way from LA today, Academy Award, 3-time Golden Globe nominee for Runaway Train, Star 80, King of the Gypsies. But let me even tell you beyond that, I cannot believe this guy has made over 700 film, TV. You know him from Burn This in theater, does music videos as well. He is not only the quintessential working actor, he's a star, and you know what? He is a delightful human being.
Absolutely.
So without further ado, please welcome the one, the only, Eric Roberts. Yay!
How nice of you guys. What a nice intro. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much for being here and for making that extra special background that you chose for the show today of a pink Christmas tree.
You can thank our 3-year-old granddaughter, Georgia. She picked it out.
I love it. That's fabulous.
Right.
How are you doing, Eric? How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for asking.
Uh-huh.
And I'm home for a few days, so I'm happy to be here.
But that is okay. That is so rare, you know, in reading about you and watching interviews and everything. I mean, you have been an actor since you're 4.5, but the sheer amount of roles, work, it is.
Impressive.
It's very impressive. And my God, what makes Eric run? How do you do it?
What actually happened was when they took film and they gave us digital, everybody who had a camera became their own studio. So they started calling direct. So overnight we started getting like 30 offers a day worldwide every day. So my wife says to me, who is my manager, she says to me, "What do you want to do? You want to go see the world?" I said, "Yeah." So after we literally went around the world twice in a row, she started staying home. But it's just everybody calls, and I like to say yes, and I'm very fortunate that they call.
Right. It's
Yeah.
wonderful. And the roles, looking at trailers there are things you've done that I hadn't heard about, that's the great thing about digging deep with somebody like you. It's
Mhm.
all the stuff, right? The big stuff, but then there's all the other meat and potatoes stuff. You really are very compelling, as you know, on screen. What is the process? You go very, very deep, and like here we're talking. You're a nice run of the mill guy, but that's not who you often play.
Well, the farther I can play away from myself, the more fun it is for me. And because I'm just a guy who likes horses and the gym and my wife and my grandkids and sleep. That's what I am. I'm that guy. And so the guys that I play are not that guy. And so I just have a lot of fun playing. And especially since everybody calls every day to have me in their movies, I get offered parts I would never be offered otherwise.
Mhm.
So I just have a blast. Literally, I have a blast every single day.
Well, see, and that translates too, because it looks like even throughout your entire career that you just enjoy it. You enjoy what you're doing.
I do, and I always have. Like one of the most fun movies I ever made was called The Pope of Greenwich Village, and
Mhm.
and it was because it was in New York. We shot on location where it all took place. I was working with a great co-star, Mickey Rourke, and we just had fun every single day. And he and I basically never broke character. We know each other as those guys.
Mhm.
Like in your real
Interesting.
life. So you're Paulie, and when you're with Mickey, you're Paulie.
That's pretty much the truth. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, that was one question I had for you: is do you bring your work home with you? Like when you're on set and you have to dive into these characters, and then okay, that's a wrap for today, and you have to go home. Do you find some of your characteristics lingering?
Well, the older I get, the easier it's not to bring them home.
Mhm.
And also, the older I get, the more unlike the characters that I play I am. I'm not like these guys at all the
Right.
older I get.
Right.
The older I get, the farther away from them I am. And so, but they ask me to play them more often now because I've become famous for them. So I'm asked to play these guys, and I'm just so not these guys. So it's great fun for me.
I would imagine.
It's
That's
just
what I
great,
was just gonna say. It's so much fun to play like a polar opposite of what your actual personality is.
Have you ever had
And that's
anybody react to you in a negative way for some of these roles? Like I specifically, Star 80, it was absolutely, it was chilling. I think what was so chilling about it was within your performance were the nuances, the twists and the turns, because you built on the psycho. You were psycho, but you built on it. You didn't give it away right away. And then, the final violence, did you have people react badly to you as a person because of how you played that role?
I'm going to tell you two quick stories. When you play bad guys, you can't play the bad in the bad guys. You have to let what they do speak for itself, because they don't see themselves as bad guys. So if you play a bad guy who knows he's a bad guy, you're putting the cart before the horse. So you can't do that. And what was the other question? I was gonna.
So I was asking if people would react to you
yes.
role like that. It was a very violent character.
After Star 80, I'd be walking down the street, let's say 7th Avenue between 54th and 50th Street. I'd be walking down the street. I would see a woman 25 yards away recognize me. Stop. Oh my God. Cross the street. And I've seen that happen 30 times, 50 times, a lot.
Just to be on the safe side, I'm crossing the street.
Yeah, right. And I got to tell you, Eric, with the way New York is these days, I find myself crisscrossing. The only thing is the people I'm crossing away from are not playing it in a movie. They are it in real life. So you, I wanted to, if this is okay, I want to talk a little bit about how you grew up, because that was very interesting to me. And I want to bring out something here. You were a kid that stuttered. my gosh, and you're an incredible actor, but you started out as a stutterer. Talk about the process that you use to go through that and really encompass parts from a very young age.
Well, when I was a little kid, I had such a bad stutter that I could not be social. I could not have a social life because as a little boy, when you had trouble getting out a word, everybody laughs because they're all kids. They're all, hey, you can't talk, and so it becomes an oppressive thing that you carry around all day like a cloud. And you know how in grammar school, when you first start to read, you all read a line, and then and reads a line, first line reads a line. Well, I would count the people, I would count the lines, and I would learn my line, because if I memorized it, I could speak it without stuttering. But if I didn't know what I was going to say, I would stutter. So it became an exercise at first, an actor's exercise, that if I learned my dialogue, I could speak it freely. But improv is not my thing.
Right, but you're really bringing up something here, because so many kids stutter, right? And they're bullied because of it, they're ostracized because of it. You just brought up how memorization, the exercise of memorization, not only helped you with that, you could just do it. I wonder if anyone's tapped into that, if we have any speech therapy people listening. That is actually a brilliant way to have a kid overcome stuttering.
Well, that's how I did it, and it took my whole childhood, but I did it.
Wow, that's incredible. So now you grew up in Georgia, is that correct?
In Atlanta.
In Atlanta. Yeah, born in Biloxi.
I don't remember Biloxi. I remember New Orleans. I came into cognizance in New Orleans and was there until I started school. And then I started school in Atlanta at Arlen Worth, across from Emory University.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Now, so your parents were involved in entertainment, correct?
My father started a young people's actors and writers school called the Actors and Writers Workshop. We're funded in part by the Martin Luther King Foundation, and he patterned in the school after Joe Papp's showmobile situation, and that we had a showmobile, and we toured the underprivileged areas all week, and we have theater in the sport on the weekends. So it was a repertory theater, and that's how I grew up. From 1962 to 1971, I was doing 8 to 12 plays a year, every year of my life.
Wow. Yeah. So in those developmental years, you were sharpening and fine tuning your performance. In a way.
I was an actor.
Yeah, exactly.
And from the time I saw a movie called Member of the Wedding. Well, I saw Member of the Wedding, and there was a child actor in it. He was my age at the time, and after watching that movie and being an actor for already like 5 years, I realized I think I'm going to be an actor. I think I'm going to do this. And it was a very private, very confident decision.
Right.
And I just kind of made it. Yeah, I'm going to do this. All because I saw another kid in a movie who was not as good as I was.
Right. You're like, I know I can do that better. Tim and I say that all the time.
Yeah. So that was a kind of a life commitment that you had at that time, an enlightenment. Yeah.
So part of you and this decision, you came to New York.
Yes, I came to New York at 18 years old, scared to death every day, rented an apartment on Flatbush Avenue and Glenwood Road for $160 a month.
Back in the day, right?
Back in the day, that was 1975. And I went to school. I went to the American Academy of Dramatic Art. And then when I realized that there was nothing they could really teach me, I auditioned for the Actors Studio.
Interesting.
And I got in. So I was like, oh my God, I'm in the actor studio. Wow, that's so cool. And I was just kind of swept off my feet by the possibilities. And then, you know, before I could really exploit that, I got my first movie. And so I was gone. And so from that point on, I was a part-time homebody because I was never home, and I just worked. And I realized that even though I was recognizable, I was somewhat of a name value. I learned that the joy in what I do is being a working actor.
Oh boy, isn't that the truth?
Both the understanding of it and the doing of it. To be a working actor, it's the coolest job on the planet.
Yeah, right.
On the planet, it's a great job.
Eric, early on,
Firstly,
station identification.
Firstly, thank you everyone for tuning into If These Walls Could Talk with your hosts, Wendy Stuart and Tym Moss, and our wonderful, incredible guest, Mr. Eric Roberts.
So early on in the game, you had, I can't remember his name, you'll say it, a wonderful manager that was able to guide you.
Bill Tresh. He discovered Sissy Spacek, Chris Walken, Tom Berenger, Carol Kane, Melanie Marilyn, Tom Hulse. The list is endless. It goes on. And
Brilliant guy.
I was just one of them. And he said, "You are a good actor. Come with me." And that's kind of what he did. And that's what he did for all of us. But he was having some personal issues, so we all went about our way, which is not with him. But he did get us all established. He got us all started. He was a bit of a genius.
Yeah.
Now, you are credited with over 700 movies. That is astonishing.
I lost count at 75.
No, you know, I sometimes he's been learning like 3 different parts in one day, or they call you overnight. I watched something where, you know, you were berating yourself for having to use cue cards, but excuse me, if you get called at, you know, 8 o'clock at night and they want you on set the next day, and the first time you're looking at the script is that time, you know, kudos to you that you pull it off.
When I get an offer that's an overnight thing or an over a weekend thing or it backs up against something I'm already in, I do ask for cue cards. Sometimes they say no, though. Sometimes they say no, we can't have this on a set. I'm like, okay. And sometimes I've had to say, well, I just don't have the time.
Right. Right. I mean, there's no way. It's virtually impossible.
I have to say that. Most of the time they allow them, and I have a guy who's great at them who does a great big fat letters. So I just have to glance and I talk, and so it's great. And but it's much better to learn your dialogue.
Of course.
It gives you freedom and it gives you strength in your character.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot more fun.
It also guides the character.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. And it guides the people that you're playing with as well, you know?
Right. Now, I mean, I can't even begin to list all the people in Hollywood that you have worked with. That list is just way too long. I mean, even like the Expendables, King of the Gypsies. I was watching Runaway Train the other day, and I was like, "Oh, he's so young." And but again, just such a variation of characters. It's so impressive. I was wondering on Runaway Train, between that looked like a very cold set out in the.
It was a miserable shoot.
That was in Russia.
No. It was a Russian director whose grandfather wrote the Russian national anthem. So he's in all kinds of ways. His name is Andrei Konchalovsky. Anyway, we're supposed to shoot that movie in Montana, and we get to Montana and it thawed. So we sat there for a week and watching it all melt and go away. And then our producers who are from Israel said, you know, it takes place in Alaska, we shoot in Alaska. So they moved the whole crew, the whole, everything to Alaska. They got this about 4-mile stretch of track that was just for us, and went back and forth all day on a train on this track in Alaska.
In the cold.
Oh my.
In the cold.
Cold.
And it was so hard. John was so great. John is one of my favorite co-stars I've ever had.
Young boy.
Because John and I are opposites politically, emotionally, family-wise, everywhere there is. But I never knew that working with him. I never knew it. He's an actor's actor. He is so much fun to work with. We had so much fun living these guys' lives, and we gave 2 pretty good performances. They nominated us both for Academy Awards.
Yes.
And we had a lot of fun, but it was really, really hard.
Really hard and really cold.
I would imagine. King of the Gypsies. Can you talk? You got a golden. Was that your first Golden Globe nomination?
I got a Golden Globe nomination as Best Newcomer, which they don't give that award anymore. Brad Davis won for Midnight Express.
Oh my God, I remember that film, right?
Yeah. Isn't that a great movie?
Oh,
yeah.
Da 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 da.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah, but that experience was petrifying because I had to audition 4 times, then I got a screen test, and then I got the movie. Then it was with Shelley Winter, Sterling Hayden, Susan Sarandon, Brooke Shields, and somebody else, and they're all famous people, and I was as kid who was scared to death. I was scared every single day, but all the way down to Brooke, they all took very good care of me. They're all very nice to me. Everybody was, and, especially Brooke, but everybody was, and it was just a great experience that I will always treasure. And Frank Pearson is my artistic birth mother. Frank Pearson, he's the guy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, thank you everyone for tuning in to If These Walls Could Talk with your hosts, Wendy Stuart and Tym Moss, and our amazing and incredible guest, Mr. Eric Roberts.
I want to just jump back. By the time you made that film, I know it was like your first biggie with stars, but you were a seasoned actor. What do you think made you fearful at that time?
Well, it was the big time.
Right, that was reality, right? You're in a big film with big stars.
And I was a country bumpkin. I mean, I was from Atlanta, which is a major city, but I was still a country bumpkin. I had a public school education, and I had done like 85 plays or something astronomical, but I was just an actor. I knew nothing about the world. I knew nothing. I was uneducated. I had a public education that was half-assed, but I was just an actor. It's all I ever did. And so suddenly I was in the world with these recognizable people who were really actors, and they were treating me as an equal. And Brooke was making faces at the camera before cut. It was like everybody was acting normal in this big time situation, and I was just petrified. but they got me through it.
Of course,
through it with kindness.
But
and
I would
remember them for that. What?
I was just going to say, but I would imagine that was such an education for you to see that they are just people, and you are just working together. Because a lot of times people put Hollywood stars on pedestals, but then to be to have the opportunity to work on a film like that with such stars.
Shelley Winters made it more clear than any of them, because she would tell stories like about Marlon Brando. I heard about how he was as a lover, all kinds of things.
Cool.
And just all kinds of stories that were obviously truths, but were given away as like public gifts of knowledge. It was just fun to get them, especially who was so funny, great comedic timing, and just a nice lady. And like as Sterling Hayden tells me, his first day of shooting was after I'd been shooting for 3 weeks already, and it's my first night shoot. And he shows up and he sends for me, and he goes to his trailer, and I knock on the door. Come in, he says. I open the door, and it's hashish smoke. And I walk in, and he's smoking a pipe. Have a seat, young man. And I said, he says, do you get high? I said, well, I've been known to. Want to get high? No, I can't get high and work. Oh, can't get high and work. Uh-oh.
Great.
I certainly can. And he's smoking the pipe, and he says, so what are you shooting tonight? I said, scene 87. I know the number. What's it about? I was freaked out. Oh, my God. But when I told him, he's like, oh, it's a pivotal scene, huh? I said, yeah, it is. He goes, okay, how are you in improvisation? I said, I'm okay. Good, because that's what we're doing. He was that kind of guy. It was just wonderful.
Right.
It scared me to death, but also it was inspiring. It was invigorating. It was exemplary. It was wonderful to be around. And the fact that he was not scared, why should I be? And that's kind of what he exuded. And so it just made it okay. And we were great together. And he was so good in the movie. He was so kind to me. And we found out through our neighbors up in Connecticut. So every Sunday we go grocery shopping together. And I would drive, he would get stoned, and we would go shopping together. And yeah, that
it's a win-win situation.
Yeah, probably cleaned out the store because he had the munchies. And
right?
He was a big grocery shopper.
Put everything in sight.
Well, I would like to talk about another movie that really hit home for me was It's My Party. Oh my God. I mean, that movie alone, again, the cast was remarkable. I mean, you had everyone from Bronson Pinchot and Olivia Newton-John and Margaret Cho. And I mean, just such a list of incredible. And you played a gay man in this who had AIDS and was dying of AIDS. How at that time in the 90s took so much courage on your part to undertake a role like that. How can you talk about that? Because it was just such an incredible film, and so effective and so deep and so intense, but yet so lively is a word I would.
That movie experience is how every movie should be made ever, always.
Mm-hmm.
That everybody was there because they wanted to be there, not to be famous or to have another part in the movie, but because of what it was about and why.
Right.
Kleiser's boyfriend was the man that I played, who died. Randall Kleiser was played by Gregory Harrison, who is magnificent.
Mm-hmm.
A thankless part, because here we have a guy breaking up with another man because he has AIDS. How thankless can you get?
That is a hard part to play.
Yeah, and yet Gregory played it perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always been very close to all my crews. I love crews.
Mm-hmm.
Worldwide, they're all the same. They're wonderfully good, hardworking, dedicated people.
Mm-hmm.
As actors, sometimes they're a little vain, they're a little distracted, they're a little petty. But crews are always the same. They're always great guys, great gals, great folks.
Because they're the crew. That's why they call them. They're the crew. They're crew.
Yeah, and that crew on that movie, It's My Party, was a mostly gay crew. And
that's fabulous. That had to make it easier.
Gregory and I were pretty much probably there's maybe 5 straight guys in the whole set, and he and I were half of them, and we had to kiss. So we're doing that scene, and we do that scene. Here comes a big kiss, and it's a kiss. It's a lip lock, bang, and we kiss, and we pull back, and Randall Kleiser says cut, and the crew applauded.
Wow.
It was good.
And even now I could cry because it meant so much to me.
Right.
To have people that involved in a moment, I'll never forget it. And
Right.
even now, as you can hear, it still moves me because it was such a magic moment. Because it's true, heterosexual men having to be lovers, and we are, and we're nervous about it. And it's so funny when you're a man and you kiss another man, you like volley for outside.
Yeah. That alpha
the
thing.
alpha thing. But you know, credit to you. You pulled it off in what is a very important film. Really great example of using what you are, your craft, to make a statement. Okay, because these are the things not only that Tim will remember, but many people that were not really exposed to AIDS will see a film like that. All right, and that part was made memorable because of what you did, and that's very powerful stuff.
Well, thank you so much. But all humbleness aside, that portrayal, I'm very proud of. Don't get me wrong. I'm very proud of that. It's all because of what Randall Kleiser wrote and how he directed me, because he was very specific. Like one night, we dressed ourselves for that movie. We didn't have a costume house, as it were. We dressed ourselves. I shut up one day for a scene, and he said, "What are you wearing?" this. He goes, "No, that's not the guy." but no, take it off.
All right, who dressed you today?
Right, the straight,
right.
the straight man.
Very specific with Randall. So I'm very proud of the fact that I allowed him to guide me totally. And he was a great leader. Oh my God, he was a great leader. But very specific. And don't this that part and Star 80 were the two hardest roles I've ever played, because there were real people who really lived, who really did what they did.
Right.
And what they did was not always agreeable to other people. So they're very hard to play.
But exactly, and because you're
different reasons. One because he was a saint, and one because he was not. And so they're very hard to play. But I had two great leaders. I had Randall Kleiser and I had Bob Fosse.
Yeah, right.
These guys who knew the story, who knew why they were telling the story. And that's a great filmmakers do for you. They lead you into a place you've never been and would never go otherwise.
How did
you also have to trust them.
Yeah, you have to trust. How did Bob Fosse do that for you?
Well, he gave me the most personal direction I've ever gotten in my life.
Well,
I'm doing a scene one day. We had only been shooting for about a week, 10 days. I'm doing a scene with a guitar in my underwear, and I mess up the song. So I said, cut. We don't say cut on a Fosse set unless you're Fosse. So Fosse says, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, I messed up." He goes, "Nah, come here." And he walks across that huge soundstage, the Zoetrope, the great big one. He walks across. It's like I think it's a football field. And he walks across the other side of it. "Come here." I'm in my underwear. The whole crew's right there. Oh God, it's embarrassing. And I go over there. "What's up?" "Look at me." I said, "I'm looking at you." He goes, "No, look at me." I said, "I'm looking at you, dude." He said, "Okay, pay attention. You're playing me if I weren't successful. Do you understand?" And I did understand. And so on the way back to the set, I started walking like him. And I realized I was playing him had he made the mistake of being a murderer.
Right.
Wow.
And so every day I had this example of what to do.
Right. How to walk, how to be, how to be him if he weren't successful. But
absolutely. But firstly, thank you everyone for tuning into If These Walls Could Talk with your hosts Wendy Stuart and Tym Moss, our remarkable guest, the wonderful Mr. Eric Roberts. Yeah.
So I would I do want to look at the clip.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
we do have a clip.
Yeah. And what's the name of the clip? Chauncey. Okay, with Eric Roberts. And this project is what? This is very recent. I know I chose a clip that was very recent because I want to show the range of what you do.
I don't know what you says.
Okay, well, we'll
we
talk
got
afterwards.
it, yeah. Don't do this. You can still get out.
I can't lend you no more money, son. I'm sorry.
Look how great he looks.
I got an idea. We robbed that old lady. She's so rich. What do you think? Hey! Just tell us where the jewelry is and we'll go. I told you. We hit the jackpot. She's no school. She's fishing around your guns. We gotta kill her. We have to do this now. No, we need to.
What?
Let's hurry up, okay? I need a sheriff at Old Highway 55. Nothing is important as family.
Surprised with that. Right. No way.
Wow. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
As you can tell, it's not a sitcom.
Yeah, right. Well, you can be a funny guy too, but a lot. I don't have to tell you this. Boy, are you intense?
Yeah.
You're intense. Like in a short trailer, you're like, whoa, you know. What an incredible gift you have. Thank you.
Yeah.
Really.
Oh, you're so kind.
And
Thank
thank you for sharing it with the
Right.
world.
To
you know?
and to
We
have
appreciate that.
sustained, honest to God, we all know incredible actors, we all know stories,
Mhm.
but the fact that you have been able to sustain this, I think, is the most impressive to both Tim and I, because the body of work, and you did not always have it easy. You hit your, what do we call them, speed bumps in your career at various points, because you're a human being. For God's sake, none of us are saints.
And again, of course, being younger in
Right.
Hollywood, successful. I mean, there's drugs, there's alcohol, there's women, there's that are that are just constantly
In your
available.
face, right?
Tell me about that. I don't know about that.
Right, you didn't experience any of that is the same. Eric, what I remember, you were in a horrible car accident
I was
where you had
in
to,
Connecticut.
the whole story of that, and you just woke up in a hospital. That is freaking. You woke up and you couldn't move, basically.
It was June 4th, 1981. I was in my Jeep with my doors off. I was leaving my then girlfriend's house. I had her dog in the car, and the dog was leaning way out the door, the way dogs will to get air.
Of course.
Yeah.
And I take my hands off the wheel and said, "Sit down."
Oh,
I look up and I'm gonna hit that tree.
Oh my God.
And then I wake up in the hospital 2 weeks later, and I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm like missing teeth, and I'm hurt, and I can't move very well. And I buzz the buzzer, and then walks a wonderful, loving, big, fat black woman in a nurse's outfit who says to me, "You awake? Oh my God, it's a miracle!" And I said,
miracle.
What happened to me? And she said, "Honey, you tried to climb a tree in a CJ5." From that moment on, we were best friends. Her name was Mary. And I was in a coma. And when I came out of the coma, that's the first person I talked to. And then I was there for 2 more weeks. So I was there for about a month. And then I went home. And the bad thing about when you have brain trauma,
Yeah, he
that
had
thing
brain.
about it is you can look well, you
Right.
talk like you are well, you understand things, but
Mhm.
you're not well. And you know you're not well. And you know you're missing marbles.
Mhm.
And you just hope they come back. And they do. But
Uh-huh.
they come back a little bit at a time. They come back as a grain of sand that turns into a BB, that turns into a marble, that turns into a baseball. But they come back slow like that. And when you finally come back, you're so thankful for life, love, liberty, education, food, everything is
Yeah.
glorious. And as an actor, when you go through that, and you have this incredible vocation to act, and when you go through that and you wind up back at where you started, you realize I have the best job on
Yeah, in the world.
Mm-hmm.
But how do you get back with, you know, I know people that have had deer coming through their car, a friend of mine, and she never came back 100%, right? You're an actor. How long did it take you to come back? And initially, like going up to audition for things, how did you see your lines? How did you learn scripts?
Everything takes an extra beat. And everything takes an extra beat, and nobody knows that that's what's happening in that beat. So it looks like just a pause. But what you're doing is you're gathering yourself, and you're knowing, and you're aiming yourself, because it becomes very mechanical because you broke it. So you have to deal with it on a mechanical level.
Right.
Up until you fake it till you make it. And then you finally make, oh yeah, I'm back. It's so cool, but it only comes back a little bit at a time. It's not overnight. It's a grain of sand that turns into a BB, that turns into a marble, that turns into a baseball, that turns into a beach ball. But it's a slow process.
Wow.
You feel every single step like a child.
Oh, yeah.
And but if you're lucky enough to have fallen in love with my wife,
I was going to say, right?
and marrying her 30 years ago, you've had the most incredible partner in crime, as it were, to ever live. And I'm so lucky to have her. And I would be less than half the man I am without my wife.
Yeah.
And because she also helped. I mean,
of course,
she helped. And she helped out of nothing but love.
Of course.
Which taught me that whole chapter of life. And my wife is my best teacher.
Wow.
And I would imagine, because I was going to ask you, how did you keep going? Okay, this is like what happened to you could have stopped a lot of people. Let's face it. How did you go on? How did you keep from being so immobilized from depression where you can't get out of bed? But I think you answered that. I think the answer is your wife, Eliza, being there for you.
Well, it was that came a little later. What drove me into having to get well right now, today, yesterday, was the fact I had two little sisters, and they were just leaving high school, and they were just coming
and
up north to live with me, to have a life.
Wow.
I had to get well. So, and I just barely made the finish line, but I did make it. And I got the most started.
And the sisters that you're talking about are Lisa and Julia Roberts.
Yes, they are.
Who has a very solid, very big.
Right, you think? You think it's big.
She's maybe one of the biggest stars who's ever lived.
Yes,
that's my sister Julie.
That's wonderful. Now, well, speaking of family, also your daughter is
Emma.
Emma Roberts is doing very, very well right now.
She is.
She's coming into her own and establishing herself in Hollywood as well. That's wonderful. I love seeing that. We've still got a lot of things, a few more things that I would like to cover. Unfortunately, we're running out of time in the broadcast. So the broadcast will end. Stick around, everybody who's watching it live. You're the lucky ones, because we're going to have the after party right here on If These Walls Could Talk with your hosts, Wendy Stuart and Tym Moss, and our just amazing and incredible guest, Mr. Eric Roberts.
See you in a few.
So thank you. Okay, now the broadcast ended. We're still live.
Yeah.
We can talk about much more. Now, you were reaching out for your dog, like with when you had the accident, and that kind of leads into the animal rights. You have an affinity for animals, and in this segment, I will lose her because she does too.
All right. You love possums. Your wife told us this before we started. My God, you do. People that rescue possums are special people. Our friend Suze she is on our comments here. She is a possum rescuer as well as a Chihuahua advocate. And of course, I've surrounded myself with many animal people. How did you get so into advocating for animals?
It's just basic decency and kindness. It's like, for instance, about I don't know, 15 years ago, I'm out in the yard and I come across, under one of our enormous trees, I come across this baby squirrel, and I pick it up and it's alive, and I realize, oh my God, I don't know what to do with baby squirrels. What do I? Oh my God! And I run the house and call people. And what is a baby squirrel? Oh my God, I'm a baby squirrel. And so I get guided to this animal place, and I take it and I give them my phone number, and they heal the squirrel. They get it well, they get it big, and they call me. Can we bring the squirrel back to your property if you have trees? I said, yes, I do have trees. Bring it back. They bring the squirrel back, and they say, oh my God, you have huge trees. Can we bring all the hurt squirrels when they get well here? Because we get lots of them. I said, sure.
Oh, God bless you for that. Oh, what a good
But here's what happened. 300 squirrels later, we have a sanctuary.
Well, you can never have too many.
And they're all hand tamed, and they all charge you when you walk on the property, like, "Hey, you got any food? What's happening?" And they're all very tame. They crawl up my pants, I get out of my hand. They crawl up my wife's dresses and out of her hand. But the problem is when people don't know them, they see this enclave of squirrels coming out.
Scary for them, I'm sure.
Scared. Yeah, it's funny. But they're all sweet and they're all tame and they're all fat. All our squirrels are fat.
What other animals do you have on your property that you're taking care of currently?
We have horses, we have dogs, we have cats, we have a squirrel sanctuary. I'm trying to talk my wife into a pygmy goat. That's not going very well.
Oh no, no, tell her. Okay, I know all about them. They're so fabulous. They're very smart.
I know about them too. My aunt used to have them. I love them.
They did great, Eric.
I know. I don't talk her into it. She. My wife is probably the most kindest human being to ever breathe air. So when you say anything about, I'm going to get a goat, no, you have to get two. If you only get one, you have to get two.
That's right.
Because she wants nobody lonely.
Right. Nobody should be, no one should be alone.
Yeah. So, but, we're discussing it. We'll see.
Okay. Well, fingers crossed.
And also because of your love for animals, you're vegan. I'm guessing that is the reason.
I'm vegan because of my wife, because I would still be eating chicken and or fish. But my wife says, no, darling, those are creatures that lived and breathed just like we are. We can't eat them for sustenance. You don't have to do that anymore. You can have your fake chicken and with your eggs every day. You can have your egg whites every day. And so you have to stop this carnivorous life you live. So I have, for the most part, I will occasionally slip and have a chicken breast. Oh, I'm sorry. She gets
Oh, wait, confession. That's what I love when people confess on this show.
No, I'm so whipped. My wife has me so whipped. She's the boss. And so, that's how it goes.
That is we have so many comments.
Yeah, I was just looking through the comments.
I love sharing these.
Sue's GS Designs. She's the one that you were mentioning had.
Yeah. She takes care of possums.
What I do.
She takes care of possums. She's a big animal advocate and an amazing designer, and she always watches our show.
Felipe Rose, who was the Native American in the Village People.
We love Felipe.
Yeah, Felipe. He says, yeah, kids.
And a shout out, his show Disco Chronicles is running on Spotify, and it's my episode, so please tune in if you can. He's a wonderful interviewer. Adam Barta
from Florida. He says this is a huge episode with a huge star.
Adam Barta has his own reality show. We just know a who's who of people out there. They're loving this, Eric.
Evan Lawrence says, hey there.
Great designer.
Chauncey Dandridge says, Eric Roberts, wow.
Wonderful producer.
Frank Terry, I think, is probably one of your biggest fans that says hello.
Hi, Frank.
To say hello.
Greg
Let me
Michaels.
see.
Oh my God.
Oh, Greg Michaels. He's an actor. He says, Tim, I finally am able to watch your show live, and you have one of my favorites. I adore Eric Roberts.
Oh, thank you. Wow.
Love that. It's great.
Evan Lawrence says, I found Eric in Nobody's Fool with Rosanna Arquette.
Oh, that was a great film.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only time I tried to play myself.
Really?
What? And how was that?
It's a little stiff. The performance is a little stiff for my taste. I'm a little stiff. Yeah.
Robert Owen says, Eric Roberts, what was your first movie?
King of the Gypsies.
That was your first.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Impressive. Because and then you were nominated.
No, I was nominated for a Golden Globe.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah,
for
Golden
best
Globe.
newcomer.
Right.
And my niece Samantha Dawn, hello, how are you? Thanks for tuning in.
Maria Gentile says, King of the Gypsies is still running around in my head after all these years later. Brilliant.
Wow, thank you. Wow.
Suze, when we were talking about
possum,
she's a possum mom,
talk.
And she says, "Oh, a baby release party." When you were talking about the baby squirrels,
she calls it a baby release party. 300 squirrels.
They are the best.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Mel Lennon, hi. I'm just trying.
And also, while we're here, Eric, Jimmy Starr and Ron Russell wanted to send their regards.
And also Eileen Shapiro.
That's give them all my big love and kisses.
We love them.
That's how I met you originally, was at the premiere of I was covering the red carpet at the Elevator,
right,
out in Queens.
And Eileen was on that. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. And they're wonderful, wonderful people. Right.
Let me see.
Okay, Tati Alexa wants to paint your portrait. There you go.
And my dear friend Jessica Cruz says, "I love you, Eric Roberts."
Oh, thank you.
I always love to bring the people that have watched our show in on the comments.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we share a lot of great information here. As you know, there's so many things going on in the world. You look at the news and it's horrifying. But what we can do on this show is have great people like you come on and really share wonderful stories and wonderful life experiences. And you know what? When our time is over here, they're going to walk away having that. All right. And then the live stream, of course, exists after that. And it's one thing that we can do. People say, what can you do to change the world? I feel that all of us, we do something like this. We've touched the world in some way.
Good for you.
Yes. And what our platform is about is our guests. We want you to shine and say what you want to say and just be who you are.
So Eric, normally, we always ask guests like what they've got coming up with you. It could be another hour on this show. What projects do you have in the hopper? And do you have any plans to produce things of your own going forward? Something that you've been dying to do?
Okay, I have a movie coming out with Margot Robbie and Brad Pitt called Babylon, and Margot Robbie stops traffic in this movie. She's unbelievable.
She's unbelievable.
Babylon, and then something that I want to do. I want to play Nureyev, and I can't play him as a dancer, so I have to play him after his dancing days. But I want to play him, and there was talk about me playing him several years ago, and then it went away. But it ignited me in doing homework on him. So I learned to talk like him. He talks very Russian, but very as if he had something in his throat. And so I learned to talk like him, and I just want to play him desperately. And he was a tragic soul, but he was a brilliant, brilliant athlete, and I want to play him, and I want to show the world what we do to people that we don't have to,
Ah, that is an underlying thing. When
Yeah.
you said you wanted to play him, I would have never thought that that was it. That is a definite aha moment.
But he was Russian. He was homosexual. It was hard. It was so hard.
Right.
Yeah.
And so he was, in his mind, he was always a criminal.
Right.
And so he never got comfortable with that aspect of his life, as so many gay men in that generation didn't. But he was even worse because he was Russian. Oh my God, it was a crime.
Right.
You know, and I want to play him.
Yeah, that would be fascinating.
And I just hope that the gay world, you know, won't be mad at me because I'm not gay.
That's another thing. I'm a little tied up.
But I understand if you play Ethiopians, you have to be Ethiopian now. Like, no, you don't. We're actors.
That's my point.
Right.
It's called acting.
Thank you.
Yeah. But these days, everybody is so, no, it has to be this. It has to be honest. So, you know, we'll see. But I want to play him, and I'm just in love with his loss.
And that's incredible. Yeah, and it's good you put that out there in the universe.
Yeah,
so
we
now
believe
it's
in that, right? It's cooking, even as we speak, right here, right now.
Now, I know there's a lot of different ways, but how can people find out more about Eric Roberts? I mean,
well, there's a website. The only real one is called ericrobertsactor.com.
There we go.
I can tell you pretty much everything there is to know about me. And yeah.
Well, that must be a very big website.
It's actually very busy. Yeah, it's a busy place.
Well, I for one, I am so grateful that you took the time to sit down with us and chat today.
Thank you.
You guys are so lovely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Of course.
And if you and Eliza come to New York, please look us up.
Absolutely.
We'll get Eileen Shapiro with us too. We broadcast from Pangea, fabulous cabaret restaurant on the Lower East Side.
Well, let's go have dinner.
Yeah. Right, we can have dinner here. Yeah, it's fabulous. So when Tim and I extend those invites, we do follow up. We love having dinner and drinks and all of that stuff.
Great. I would love that. So would my wifey.
Thank you very much.
Well, again, thank you so much, Eric. Don't sign off. Bring it afterwards. But I just want to say again, thank you very much for tuning in to If These Walls Could Talk with your hosts, Wendy Stuart and Tym Moss.
And thank you, our wonderful audience, for being here with us today.
And our wonderful, incredible guest, Mr. Eric Roberts.
Thank you, everybody.